everyone. Welcome to Rise and Shine. My name is Nat Ambrosi. I'm your host. Today, I'm really excited to have Mallory on the podcast. Mallory is a swimmer and currently a MindPower Coach, and she is in Kentucky right now. So welcome, Mallory.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So kind of jumping in, one thing that I thought was really cool. We, as a Rise page, we follow all of our MindPower coaches. So I'm able to stay up to date on what they're doing from the day to day. And Mallory recently just posted about lifting. And I know a lot of times swimmers are not land people. It's like hard to figure out like, what is dry land? So talk a little bit about that. I thought that was really cool that you're getting into that.
Yeah, so I have always kind of really enjoyed out of water activities. I actually played a bunch of sports growing up. I played soccer, softball, volleyball. I ran until my sophomore year of high school. And so I've always enjoyed that out of the water aspect. I think it really balances my swimming. And so when I got to college 8 years ago, which is crazy, I really started lifting and getting into lifting. And as I've gotten older too, it's become more important. And I've seen changes in my body, and those changes have really made a big difference in my swimming. So this past year, I've made changes in my lifting too, and I've learned new lifts and learn new things that have challenged me. And I absolutely love it. Like, I love going to the weight room. I love learning new things. And it's just really good way to feel confident about how strong I am and that I'm able to do these really hard things that aren't in the water. Like, I'm used to everything in the water. And so being outside of the water is a lot of fun, and just I love it.
Yeah, no, I think it's so awesome. I think as a teen athlete myself, and when I was even in college, like lifting was like, oh my gosh, like, why are we doing this? Like, I don't know how to deadlift or, clean and jerk. And I think, what you're doing and being able to do that while you're still swimming is something that's really cool, because you get to see what you just said. Your body is changing and shifting in ways that, like, you could see how strong you are. Talk a little bit about, so you said you started college 8 years ago, you're graduated and you're still swimming. So talk about that shift and change and what it's like swimming now professionally.
Yeah, I absolutely love college swimming. It was a blast. Best 4 years of my life by far. I mean, right now is a great time in my life, don't get me wrong, but just really special time in my life. But the transition to professional swimming at first was pretty challenging. I also was transitioning to that kind of right during COVID. So there was a lot of learning because I was becoming a professional athlete as the world was completely changing, right? We all went through this huge shift in our life because of COVID. And then I was also transitioning to a professional athlete. So I've had to learn a lot, and some of them I wish I learned in different ways, but I'm very grateful for going through everything I've gone through, because it's made me stronger, and I've learned so much about myself, and that I'm way more capable of handling tough things than I thought. And I hadn't really ever faced a struggle like I did the past 2-3 years that I went through COVID. So it's really challenged me to be better and become a better problem solver. And so now I'm actually really enjoying being a professional athlete and kind of embracing that change. I feel like for the first time. I feel like for the past 2 years, I've really struggled with it. And this past year, I've really flourished with it. So just took a little bit of time getting used to it and getting used to change of college swimming and having kind of everything set out for you. Everything's so structured in college, and everyone's telling you what to do. And then you become a professional athlete and everything's up to you. And it's great, but it also comes with a lot of responsibility and a lot of decision making. So I feel like I'm finally at a good place where I have a good, healthy balance of making the decisions for myself and being able to communicate with my coaches and the team behind me of what I need.
Yeah. It's a really interesting point you bring up there, because I was a college swimmer, and then college swimming ended and I went right into work. And so I think a lot of people, I even just learned that, like, oh, it's on your own. So talk a little bit about, like, how do you find a coach? How did you kind of find the things that works for you?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm very lucky. So I went to the University of Louisville, and we have a post-grad team here of about 8 people. And so my transition was a little bit more natural. I didn't have to go out and find a different coach. I stayed in Louisville and am fortunate enough to still train almost always with the college team. I lift still at U of L with my coach that I've been with for 8 years. And so those things really stay consistent, which has been great. And Louisville has become my home. All my friends are here. Obviously, I have friends at other places, but my community and my home is here. And so I was very fortunate enough to have that. Over the past year, though, I have switched coaches within our coaching staff. So I love my coaches that I had before, and they're still my coaches. I just needed a different stimulus and a different change going into this next 4-year cycle going into the Olympics. So I kind of went from mid-distance swimming to sprint training, and I'm just training with our sprint coach here, and it's been great. We have a really great group of sprinters, and we have a lot of fun. So it's been really awesome. It's been like, I guess, 6 months now, which is crazy.
Oh, yes, sprint. I've always loved sprint. I was never a middle distance person, so I feel you. It's definitely hard though in a different way.
Yeah.
So thinking back to when you were a teen, like, is this what you expected that you would be doing? Did you have like goals and dreams to be a professional swimmer, to be, having that goal of going to the Olympics, or what did your life look like as a teen athlete?
Yeah, so I grew up in Michigan. I'm from a really small town in Michigan. I'm from Kalamazoo, but went to high school in Plainville, really, really small. And I always knew that I wanted to swim in college. I wanted to swim beyond what I was doing there, but I didn't really understand like what it took. Like I didn't really understand Olympic trials, didn't really understand anything because the swimming community wasn't that large and there were some people who had, done college swimming and gone to Olympic trials, but I wasn't really close with them. And I didn't really have, I guess, that mentorship or that person to kind of talk to about it. So growing up, I knew I wanted to swim in college, but I really didn't know how to get there. But thankfully, I found my way to U of L, and that kind of led me to my path. But even when I started college, like I had no idea that I was going to be a professional athlete. I didn't even know like professional swimmers was a thing. I didn't really realize that. So yeah, I had no idea. And I was very just like kind of innocent and not naive, but just had no idea what was going on. But I'm really thankful for my journey because I think it makes me even more grateful for the path that I've taken. Like I came from a really small club. I swam in a pool that didn't even have blocks in it. I had never really traveled out of the state of Michigan for meets. And so this journey has been even sweeter because I came from that and I just didn't even know what to expect, and just knew I wanted to work hard and work towards my goals. And it's been really rewarding.
Yeah, just the things that you didn't even know were out there because they weren't shown to you as, a kid or a teen. So you talked about there wasn't really anyone in your town that, was going to Olympic trials, or there was a few people going to college. So what did it look like for you to find that mentor to know how to go to college swimming?
Yeah, so I kind of just started the process. My older brother actually swam in college. He swam at Division II. And so my mom and my dad had gone through the recruiting process with him. It was a little bit different, just Division I versus Division II, but they learned a lot from that process and what they wish they had helped him with. And so we kind of just started through collegeswimming.com and started looking at different universities where I would kind of fit in well, like where my times would fit in well. I knew I wanted to go to Division I. I had originally thought I wanted to go really far away, like West Coast, hours and hours away. I wanted to go warm. And then I kind of started to realize like, okay, maybe not. And so my sophomore year, we just decided that spring break, me, my mom, and my 2 little brothers, I picked 5 different schools and we drove from Michigan all the way down to Florida and visited 5 different schools along the way. And just, that's how we started. So the unofficial visits, and we just started looking. So the first school I ever went to was the University of Louisville. And then we went to University of Tennessee. We went to Alabama. We went to Florida State. And we just kind of made a road trip. And so on that road trip, my mom would make me sit in the car and she would talk to me and ask me questions, and she would make me write down everything I liked, everything I didn't like, what was missing, what was not missing. And so that's how we started. And that's kind of how I narrowed it down. And then my mom and I later traveled to Wisconsin. We went to Penn State. And so we just kind of visited all of them, and because we had really no idea what we were doing. But as we went along, I knew what I was looking for, and I knew what I liked, and knew what to expect as we went along the process. And that's how I ended up at Louisville. And before I picked Louisville, I went on official visits. So I got to spend time with the teams and kind of experience a more in-depth weekend there rather than just a day, like kind of touring the campus, meeting the coaches and stuff like that. So that's how we did it. Obviously there's a lot more information now. Like social media was, I mean, I had Instagram then, but it was not the same as it is now. You don't get to see like that inside look of what's going on at the schools. And like, that just wasn't really a thing when I was going through the recruiting process, which is almost 10 years ago now. And so we just went and saw it for ourselves, and it was very rewarding, and I ended up at the right place. But I also loved all the other schools I went to. Like, they were all amazing. The coaches were great. The campuses were amazing, but I just found that Louisville was the right place for me. And I had that feeling as soon as I went there.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's like all the other schools could have all the things, but it's for each and every person, there's that school that's going to fit. And there's the coaches that are going to fit if you decide to do athletics. And so I think that the interesting point you bring up about social media, like right now, the team that I was on, I went to Delaware, and they have like a Delaware swimming page. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you're really, putting a lot into this. And they have some of the athletes running the page, and it is definitely a different time for recruiting and for choosing schools, if that's what athletes want to do, like go to college for sports. So I think that is really interesting. And thanks for sharing your story of, the college road trip. I feel like isn't there a movie about that or something? Like,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's just fun to do that too. Let's shift a little bit more into kind of the mindset aspect of sports. So we talked about, mentoring and a little bit about how you got to where you were in college, but talk a little bit more about mindset. And maybe let's start off with, if there's a myth about mindset that you've heard, or something that you want to share to start.
Yeah, I think growing up, I didn't really understand like the power of my mind or our minds. What I was taught is, hard work, physical hard work is going to get you where you need to be. And it was never really talked about. And I don't think it was intentional. I just don't think not the people that I was around, but like my coaches didn't have the resources to understand like how important mindset was. And that just wasn't of really high value, or it may be a value now, but it just wasn't talked about at all growing up. My mom and my dad always kind of instilled that in me, and they were like, we believe in you. We want you to believe in yourself, and that type of thing. But I didn't ever have, not formal training, but it just was never really talked about. Like I knew I believed in myself, but I didn't really have the tools to, dig deeper than that. So I think that when I was younger, I really had no idea how to improve my mindset and use my mind as a weapon and use my mind to improve myself. I think I was naturally doing it in a lot of ways, but I wish there were things that I knew at a younger age. So and as I've gotten older too, I've realized how important it is. I think even when I got to college and I was being taught about mindset, we had a sports psychologist on staff, and we had meetings every week. I would sit there and listen, but I didn't, like, oh, I'm doing fine. Like, I'm crushing it. Like, I got this under control. And for the most part I did. But as I've gotten older, I've realized how important mindset truly is, and how important it is to take care of our mind, because that does correlate to performance, and we can make it stronger, and we can figure out ways to be better by using our mind. I mean, I know I work hard every day. The physical part, like, I have no question every single day I go into the pool, and I know I'm giving it 100%. And I think as I've gotten older, the harder part is my mind. Because we know more, we've experienced more, we have more going on. And so I think it's just something that's really valuable, and something that we always need to be taking care of in and out of the pool. Because if you're not taking care of it out of the pool or off the field, you're not going to be able to do it in the pool and on the field. So I think like the biggest thing is mindset is important at whatever age, especially when you're younger, because when you can do it when you're younger, it's easier as you get older. So I didn't really talk about it. It was more of like, oh, just push through it, hard work, which is true to a point. But I think there's also a part of, okay, we need to figure out how to do this with our mind. How can we use our mind to be better, right? So
yeah, no, for sure. And that piece of, you can be doing so well in your sport, like going best times, doing best things, and still, if you're not focusing on your mind and your mindset, like sport can be an outlet that you're running away from all of the other things. And
yes,
so
definitely.
it's so important to like focus on that mindset piece, because like once sport's done, because eventually for all of us, like the competitive piece of sport, usually it trickles off. Like we can always be doing sport, but we're not always going to be doing it at the level we were when we were in college or, a teen. So I think that's the really important thing of mindset being something that's for sport and life.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. Like you were saying, sport can be an outlet for all the things like in our life. And I think as a teen athlete and even younger, like I used swimming as my outlet for everything, which was great. Like I'm so thankful for it, because it helped me through so much, and it was always there for me when I needed it. But I also, wish I would have been taking care of those things, my mindset, in a not that it was an unhealthy way to be taking care of it. I just know now that I could have been doing more to handle those things, and those things could have been weighing my swimming down in a different way. And I don't have any regrets or anything, but I just think that I didn't know that, I could talk about these things to someone, and I could share this and feel lighter and enjoy swimming more, instead of just being like, oh, I need this as a release, and I need this as an escape. I could have been like, okay, I'm dealing with this part of my life here and using swimming as something I love and enjoy. And I'm so thankful that I had swimming, but I know there were things that I could have been taking care of better, my mindset better, growing up. But I just didn't know, because I didn't have, the resources and things like that to do that.
Yeah. It's definitely one of the it's not new, because mindset has always been there, but it's becoming more like in the forefront. It's like, if you're
Yeah.
looking to go out and buy a red car, you're going to see red cars everywhere now,
Yeah.
it's like now you're going to
Yeah.
hear about mindset all the time. So one thing that I like to always ask our mind power coaches is, how do you define mindset? There's no one way to define it, but how do you define it? How would you tell an athlete what mindset is?
Oh, that's a good question. I just did this with one of my athletes. I think mindset is finding a space where you personally feel like you can succeed and be confident. And that mindset, that space, is different for every single person. For me, it may look different than for you, and that's totally okay. But I think finding that place and working towards that place is what mindset is all about. And everyone's journey is going to look different, and everyone's mindset is going to be different to get to that success or get to that place that makes you really happy or feel really strong or feel really confident. And I think it's a continuous journey. Like our mindset as we grow is going to shift from one place to another. And that doesn't mean it's right or wrong, but just as we learn and as we experience things, I think that mindset shifts and grows too. So that's how I define it and kind of see it. I see it as just like a little space in our minds that allows us to flourish and to grow.
Yeah. And that it's different for everyone, right? Like,
Yeah.
at Rise, our coaches teach, techniques like visualization or self-talk, or on one of the past episodes, Luke was talking about like talking to yourself in the morning and really like like actually talking to yourself and getting those goals out. And so
Yeah.
those are all different, you know, tools and tips for mindset, but each and every person is going to use those differently.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's jump in, talk a little bit about just in general, like what does coaching with you look like? MindPower coaching at Rise. Like, what do you do with your athletes? What's your, yeah, what is that?
Yeah, so I've been absolutely loving it. I'm only right now working with one athlete, but it's been so fun. I really, really enjoy working with her, and it's honestly just a space for her to, you know, talk to someone and have that person to guide her through things like what I wish I had as as a teen at her age. So we meet once a week, and it's just honestly so great just to have, even for me, someone to talk to. And we catch up at the beginning, talk about her week. And she's been racing a lot, so it's been really cool to follow her progression through the past few weeks of racing and have her kind of tell me the ups and downs, how she's feeling, how she's been dealing with it, and kind of guiding her through the things she's struggling with, and guiding her to increase that confidence in herself, because she's amazing. She's so strong and so powerful. And I think she's truly starting to realize that she's gone best times this season. And I can just truly see that she's enjoying it. And then each week we kind of go through a lesson. So the past, I think 3 weeks, we've been talking about self-talk and how we improve our self-talk and how important our self-talk is. And so we kind of bounce back and forth with each other about either what we're struggling with self-talk, having kind of red flag thoughts in our head. What are those red flag thoughts, and what are our triggers? What triggers a negative thought, and how can we change those thoughts from a red flag thought to something that helps us crush the day, right? Instead of having, oh, I suck, how can we change that into something that's actually productive instead of just talking down to ourselves? So it's been really fun, and we work through some different exercises, and it's been fun to do it along with her. So this past week, I challenged her to wake up every morning and journal, and I gave her like 4 different prompts to journal about every morning, and I've been doing the same thing. So it's been really fun to do it alongside her. So it's really healthy for me to do these exercises, and it's really cool to see her progress through it too.
Yeah, learning, but like you're learning just as much from her as she is from you, which I
Yeah,
think is the coolest piece.
yeah, I don't think she realizes that. Like, I think she's aware that like I love talking to her, but I don't think she realized like how much it helps me too. Like just having, obviously we're at 2 different points in our lives. I'm way older than she is. She's in 8th grade and I'm a professional athlete, but we have so much in common at the same time. A lot of the same struggles and a lot of the same thoughts going through our head. So it's really cool to connect on that level.
Yeah, it's like understanding that we're all human, like no matter
Yeah.
what age or you know where you are. And I think you said too, there was a piece you're like, this is what I wish I had when I was growing up. And I'm like, that should be Rise's slogan, because I think everyone, whether it's a parent, whether it's a mind power coach, is like, man, like I wish this was something when I was growing up.
Oh
Because
yeah,
you know, yeah.
yeah, I would have absolutely loved this, and I think it would have helped me so much just having someone to. I had people around me, but just having someone who, you know, has done something similar to what I wanted to accomplish and just kind of understood what I was going through. And I think that was one of the hardest things growing up. Like I had great friends and a great community, and they all supported and loved me, but sometimes I felt like I was kind of alone in just like what I was trying to do and trying to accomplish, and I didn't know who I could really talk to and have understand me. Like people respected me and supported me, and I'm forever grateful for that. But even with friends, like they'd be like, "Oh, do you have to go to swim practice tonight?" And I'm like, "Yes, I have to go to swim practice. Like this is my goal. This is what I'm trying to do." And so it's just a different journey. And so I am so glad that I get to, you know, do this and give that to someone else, because I would have absolutely loved this as a teenager.
Yeah. It's that other person too outside your coach, right? Or your
Yeah.
teammates or your parents. And I think that that's a really big thing that you brought up there, because it's not a bad thing to, see someone like, so for this athlete, she's saying like, wow, like look at what Mallory's doing. Like whether or not she wants to be a professional swimmer, it's just you've been through that experience. And
Yeah.
like for me, for instance, my parents weren't athletes. So I was the first one in my family to be like, okay, I want to like swim. Like I want to swim in college. And they're like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that. But if,
Yeah.
I had a coach, like a MindPower coach, it would be incredible because, I would be able to learn from that. I didn't have people that I knew who swam in college. So, I
Yeah.
think that that's a really, really big thing that you brought up there, that it's another outlet, right? And another place to really learn.
Yeah. And it's just disconnected too from like you said, from everyone, like you can share things that, you may not want to share with your mom or your best friend. Like you just want to get it off your chest, and it's just someone to talk to that's obviously not removed. Like we have a great relationship, but like I'm not involved fully in her day-to-day life. Like I am someone there that she can vent to and feel comfortable with, and not worry about, how I feel. Like I'm fully there for her. And I think that's also a really great thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to ask too. So you're so passionate about what you do. You're working with one athlete right now and talked all about mindset. Why Rise? Why did you start coaching at Rise? How'd you find out about it?
Yeah. So my boyfriend, actually Clark, is Caroline Burkle's brother, their brother and sister. And so I've been around Caroline for 3 years now, and have always loved following Rise and loved the mission, and always wanted to be a part of it, but just wasn't in the right mindset to be a coach. And so I finally have gotten to a really good place where I felt ready to be a part of Rise. And I'm so thankful that I finally, reached out to Caroline and was like, hey, like I'm ready to do this, because she's always talked to me about it, and always, shared how it's going, and shared really cool stories about how much they've grown, and how much you guys have helped so many people. And so this past year, I was like, okay, I'm ready. And I'm so thankful, and wish I realized I was ready sooner, because I think that if I would have started even sooner, it would have helped me even more, because it's given me so much outside of the pool. I've realized I want to be more than Mallory the swimmer. Like I love being Mallory the swimmer, but I am finding my identity outside of that. And it's been just so healthy for me to do that. And it's also helped my swimming, because I have so much more going on outside of swimming. So forever grateful for the Burkles and everything they've done for me. But that's how I kind of got into it. And I love to see the growth and everything that Rise is offering for so many youth athletes, and even as professional athletes. Like just so many great opportunities for us to give back to our sports, and just be successful outside of our sport.
Yes, I love that. I love that you're just like, you know what? It's the time. I'm going for it. And like anything, like there's always a time. And it's been so great to have you on the team and be so passionate and sharing all of these things with youth athletes, with our team, even during team meetings. So definitely really, really appreciated.
Yeah, no, I've loved it. I love being a part of the team, getting to know new people, and just, being a part of Rise. Like it's so cool that I get to work, not directly, like not in person. I wish we could all work in person and see each other, but just have that extra level of support and people around me.
Yeah, and it's a community for retired athletes, professional athletes, Olympians, like all together too, just as much as it is for the teen athletes, and connection there. So that's a really powerful thing that I don't know any other places that have that for, athletes to connect, and athletes to connect with people of different sports. So even even an athlete who's a soccer player could, do mindset training with you, because mindset is, the whole thing is, in like, I don't know what the word is, like not interchangeable, but like across the board, so I think that that's a really cool piece too, that people don't realize.
Yeah, no, that's what I don't remember who I was talking to about it, but I was like, yeah, I think my mom actually, because we were just talking, and I was like, yeah, like I would love to work with different athletes. Like I said, I played all different sports growing up. I grew up with three brothers, and so they played all the sports, and so not that I am as knowledgeable about swimming. Swimming, I'm the most knowledgeable about, obviously, but I'm passionate about all sports and just love being involved in that community. Like, it's so special to me, and love seeing athletes of any sport, you know, want to improve their mindset.
Yeah, definitely. So we're kind of getting close to time. I'd love to ask you, so you've given so many pieces of mindset advice, so many things and experiences that you've had. Is there anything else, that advice that you'd give to a teen athlete or a parent about mindset, or maybe even to your younger self?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is that, one, it's okay not to be okay. Like, we're human beings and we cannot be okay all the time. It's impossible. And so when we're feeling like we're not okay, or in a good place, that it's okay to ask for help. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned, and I'm still learning, because it's always something that I've struggled with, because I've always wanted to, take care of it myself and not show weakness, or not be vulnerable. And as I've gotten older and as I've gone through some really hard things, I've realized that the best way to deal with it is asking for help, because I can't do it all myself. Because when I do it all myself, it just creates more problems, more stress. And I'm finally accepting that, and finally getting to a point where I can be vulnerable and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is how I feel. Because if I don't do that, I just go into this really dark place where it's hard for me to get out of. And I've realized that if I go to that place, I need even more help to get out of it. So I think not being okay is acceptable, and being okay with that and asking for help is so important. Even though for me, it's the hardest thing to say, hey, like, I really need help right now. I'm really struggling. I cry really easily, so anytime I talk about it, I will cry, like, for sure. But I've got to a point where I'm like, okay, that's okay. That's just who I am, and this is what I need to do to get through it. And as a younger athlete, I just held it all in at all times, and just like walked around with, like, and tight shoulders, and just like always just like ball of stress. And I finally realized it's okay to let it out. And I think being a part of Rise has also, helped me realize that too. Like, seeing these young athletes be okay with asking for help and being vulnerable is so inspiring. And just that they're wanting to put their mindset first. Like, that is so awesome. Like, as a teenager, that is such an amazing thing. And I think we should celebrate that, because it is so awesome. And it's going to make them such a better person. And I'm just so glad we're able to provide these things for them, and help them on their journey. So I think just accepting that it's okay not to be okay, and then asking for help is my biggest thing. And no matter where we're at in our life, whether we're a teen athlete, whether a retired athlete, I think at any point it's okay to ask for help, and say that we need it.
Yes. I have nothing else to add to that, because that was so beautifully spoken, and it's also true. It is okay to ask for help, and for all our athletes who are in the program to take that step and to be willing to do this, and to really, train their mind, but also improve their life, because it's not just about, it's not a report card. It's not, okay, I got an A in this. It's really changing, who they are, and not who they are, but changing, who they can be. So so important. So
for sure. And I just think there's so many more resources out there to, improve our performance than just, working harder. And so taking advantage of those things, and it's really awesome and exciting. And there's just, when we put our mindset first, there's endless opportunities in sport and out of sport. So I love to see that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining. And I loved hearing your story and hearing more about your passion and everything for what you do, both at Rise, but also in life in general. So it was really great. And yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad I got to be a part of it. And yeah, thank you.